All right, testing, testing. One, two, three. Can everyone hear me? Put some hearts in the chat if you can hear me. Okay, awesome. All right, sweet. Got an amazing AMA today with DEXANI. Okay, awesome. We got AR Crypto. Let's get him up here. Okay. We got the Spino Dino Mike,
How you doing?
COO of DEXANI. Doing good, man. How about you?
Not too bad. If you guys could bring up the mad scientist, I would greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, the mad scientist. Let's get him up here just a second. Okay. Okay, invited to speak. He should be up here. Oh, wait. Mad scientist, do you see our request? I'm going to invite him to speak again. Man, you got to love Twitter, right? With all
Yeah,
these different.
I'll message him, but he's pretty good on these. So hold on one second.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, we saw his request come in. We accepted it. Then we invited him to speak.
We were doing spaces once a week, and no lie, every week there's some kind of glitch with Twitter.
Oh, I think every single space I've ever been in with Twitter in the last 2 months has had some type of glitch. Something always happens. Something always happens. But it's all good.
I think he's gonna leave and come back in. That'll probably be the best.
Yeah, we can do that. No problem at all.
There he is.
Okay, so he's requesting. I'm going to get him up here. Hopefully this works. Oh, man.
Great success. Oh man. Finally.
Oh, he's up. He's up. Hey, I like that profile picture, man.
Oh, thank you much. Our guys made that one for me, so worked out pretty well. I'm digging y'all's
Our dino
dinos.
our dinos.
I was like looking at your white paper a little earlier, and I was like, wait, it says dinos are coming for the dogs, and we got like sheep inside the dino. And I don't know, like, did the dino eat him and now he's trying to get out? Is he wearing a costume? Like,
Hey, it's all speculation. We don't even know. we leave it up to interpretation.
I like it. I like it. It looks good. Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for joining us today on this fine Monday. It's morning for me where I'm at, but how about for you guys?
I am West Coast, so it is morning for me as well.
I
Just
am.
barely.
I'm in East Coast, so it's almost afternoon.
Nice, nice, awesome. Well, we appreciate you joining the Dino Fam today and telling us a lot more about DEXANI and what you guys are doing, all the cool innovations and different ways that you're keeping you know future investors and investors in the space safe. And so, yeah, we're pretty pumped, to get into this with you guys. So I'll be the host today for this AMA. My name is Reptar here in the Dino Fam, and it's good to be here with our family, with our community today. And GM, good afternoon or good evening wherever you're tuning in from. And so let's get started here. So first off, everybody, please make sure that you like, you retweet, you comment on this, because the more that we get that exposure, the more people will jump in here, then they can hear even more about the amazing things that Dino is doing and also DEXANI is doing. And then also, anytime you hear something that you're vibing with, make sure that you're using those emojis. Those emojis help with the algorithm on Twitter. So the more that you're interacting and engaging, the more that that's going to take this Twitter space and push it onto other channels, push it onto other profiles, and people can see it, they can join, and they can see what's going on. So welcome. It's going to be a good time. We've got the mad scientist. We got Spino Dino Mike from DEXANI. All right, guys. First off, let's get into it. Let's just get quick introductions about how you got into Web3, and then a little bit more about your team and kind of how you guys got started and what the inspiration was for DEXANI.
It's a great question, actually. So I got into crypto in 16, like probably the majority of the people in here, for a lot of the same reasons. Pure speculation. Saw a little bit of the writing on the wall and started trading. And then, well, anybody that's been in for a minute, y'all know what happened in January of 18, right? We went through that winter. And during that time, that's when I actually took the moment to actually pay any attention to the technology, right? Because before then I was just trading, and really got kind of mind blown what you could actually do with this stuff. Started diving into a little bit of what people were doing with smart contracts and whatnot, and watching it. And then 2020ish, this little protocol came along. I don't know if you guys know what it is. The little one, it's a little unicorn, good old Uniswap, right? Came along, and that really changed. I mean, if y'all don't know how much that really changed the game, it was pretty massive, right? Before that, we just had IDEX and a couple of others that actually ended up getting shut down. And then this is a really kind of a hard one whenever I think about it. I got really heavily invested in a project that collapsed in the summer of 21. And even though I was heavily personally invested, what was really, really distressing was that there was 8,000 other people. And I mean, this thing, it skyrocketed. I mean, it was a moonshot like you'd never seen. But it collapsed just straight. There was a contract failure, and it was terrible. And so
Was it something that the team had done, or was it an exploit,
it
or
was a flash loan exploit at the end of the day, is what it was. Those that don't know what that is, it's a fairly technical thing, but anyways, yeah. But what was really distressing was that there were so many people and they were freaking out, really, really freaking out, and people lost their rent, they lost their retirement, people lost their parents' retirements in this, and so I was kind of trying to help figure out what happened, and I was trying to help them. Some of them couldn't tell me how much they bought. Let me tell you how bad it was. Some of them couldn't tell me what their own address was. I don't know how to use Uniswap at that point, right? But they couldn't do that. And so I started this little crypto education channel. And through that, made some friends, and we started looking at stuff, and then we started realizing, paying attention to all these scams that were out there. But one thing we realized was this stuff was really, really, it was really hard for the average person. We had people trying to learn Solidity. They're trying to learn literally how to read smart contracts, figure out some of the scam stuff. They're using Etherscan, Token Sniffer, right? You've got Dex tools up over here. You've got some backend. There's some backend databases we were using back then, and what came to me and what I realized was that we can't keep doing this. There's no way you're going to bring in the guy at the bar that you meet And when he's like, all right, I want to get in, and you're trying to teach him how to use Uniswap, and you're like, cool, well, here's what you gotta do. But watch out, because there's all these problems, and so you're going to want to know how to use this tokens. They're in Honeypot and Etherscan and this. Like, that's just not going to really work. So that's where DEXANI started to come in. Right. And so we built out this giant security scanner. And so anytime, the moment that you want to trade, the moment you want to put a token in, we run it through the scanner instantaneously, right? Like at the moment of trade. And the reason is that when you go to a centralized exchange and you want to buy something, right, you make an assumption that the centralized exchange has done some sort of level of due diligence, right? You assume they've kind of looked at this thing and that it's safe, right? It may not be a great financial life choice, but it's probably not 100% a scam straight to you. And we realized like that kind of needed to exist at least at a modicum at the decentralized level. Now, I can't go in and run full due diligence on the team that creates something, right? Like, that's just not existent in this space for the most part. I have some ideas on some ways to maybe do that, but you can't really. So, from a programmatic level, we did that. And one thing that we really dropped in there is we go even further than just scanning programmatically the token contract. We actually go and we look at the history of the owner and the deployer's address, history of the top holder's address, the history of the top liquidity provider addresses, because some of these tokens will have 10, 15, 20, 100 plus liquidity providers all said and done. And we look for anything malicious they've done. Have they been part of blackmail? Have they been a part of money laundering? Have they launched honeypot scams in the past? Right? Like, you want to go buy a token and 3, 4, 5, even one of the top holders has launched honeypot scams in the past. This thing's only a couple hours old. I'm probably not getting into that. Right? Like, you're probably not buying into a company, right, in the real world, well, the non-Web3 world, where the owner deployer, the CEO essentially, or whoever has launched scams. Like, you're probably just not doing that. So we wanted to provide that. And so we started to identify some of these other limiting factors and problems that exist in the decentralized world. Like, how do you get crypto on there? Right? Like, how do you even get crypto in the first place? So, we added in onboarding and we'll have off ramping soon. I'm not a fan of centralized exchanges. Anybody that's been in this game for this long and has traded heavily, you've probably been locked out of a centralized exchange. Not a fan. So the goal is kind of to go that next step.
So just to give you guys an example, sorry, Aaron.
Yeah, go ahead.
I literally just added money to buy one of the floor NFTs for you guys to give away, and it took me 5 minutes to add it. So I didn't have to go through Coinbase or any other exchange. And so that's how simple it is. We're really focusing on getting everything in one spot so you're not having to go anywhere else. When those little tiny things that you don't think about, like, did you put in your transaction? Did it go through? Like, we have a little graphic that comes up so you can see that the process is going through. There's all these little tiny pieces to this technology.
Yeah, I mean, it really sounds like you guys, have done a lot of your due diligence, and I've had plenty of experiences in this space. I've been in this space now 2 years full time, and then before that, I got in summer of 2020. And of course, I have that same story that many people have. In 2010, I had a bunch of my friends that were mining Bitcoin. They're like, "Bro, you got to get in on this and do this with us." And now some of those friends are multimillionaires, right? So, but I didn't pull the trigger then, But yeah, so the stats are right now that 75% of people that get into crypto for the first time, they have a bad experience. They have a bad experience with the exploit. They have a bad experience with, a rug pull or a slow rug or, or what have you, right? Like some type of experience that makes it so that they're like, wow, my $100 I put in, the $1,000 I put in, the $3,000 I put in, is barely worth anything now, and probably won't be worth anything because of what has happened with this particular project, right? And so it's amazing, what you've created, and I personally think it's highly undervalued because this is what is needed for mass adoption. Mass adoption will come when there's more safety, when there's more security, when there's more ways that we can check to make sure that we can mitigate those bad experiences as much as possible. Now, of course, we've talked about this plenty of times on other spaces, is that there are teams out there that have great intentions, and they come to the space because it is a place where there are endless possibilities, but they don't understand how to run a business, right? So they're just riding the next hype train, and they don't really know what they're doing, and they may grow like super crazy fast, and then they're like, I don't even know what I'm supposed to do here. So I mean, that happens, and that happens in the Web 2 startup space as well, right? But I just absolutely love what you guys have created. So let's dive deeper into like the different parameters that you're checking, because you were going into that, but like all these different parameters that you guys have put together so that you can look at all those different factors that can protect investors and future investors.
Yeah, 100%. So we start with like your basic stuff, right? Like we look to see, is there a mint on it, right? And like here's the one really important thing when looking at this stuff and trying to make sense of it, is that almost everything that is malicious was not a piece of code that was designed to be malicious, right? USDC, USDT, they all have mints, right? And they have burns, right? So when we look at this stuff, you have to really identify. We leave a little bit of this on the user to kind of pay a little bit of attention and go, all right, based on what I know here and what I see in community or Twitter, right? Do I think it's malicious, right? So we look for mints. Obviously, right, we look for the buy and sell tags, and then that incorporates into what we call smart slippage, which, anybody that's been trading this, you know what that's like, right? You don't remember what the tax was on a token. So what do? You take your slippage, you crank it all the way to 49%, and you just go. And then you get that address from your buddy who says, jump into this thing. You drop it into Uniswap. You didn't move your slippage down. It's a zero tax token, and you get front run to fucking back, right? So this thing will auto set your slippage for you. You just click the smart slippage, leave it at like a 1-2% base, and it will adjust your slippage on the taxes, right? So we took that piece out, right? But we'll tell you what that is. We let you know if the contract's open source, right? If they can't figure out how to make the contract open source on Etherscan, probably also not from a technical aspect your best life choice. And also, are they hiding something, right? We look to see if it's a honeypot, and that happens in real time every single time you get on there, right? We automatically, and what we do is we actually go forward and we simulate buys and sells on this thing to see, is it going to be a honeypot. We check to see if there's anything on there. If it's a renounced contract, now everyone talks about renounced contracts. Oh, it's renounced. They can't do anything. It's not entirely true. Right? There are still ways that you can, and things you can build into a contract that can still affect the contract, even if it's quote unquote renounced. There's things called access.
Right. You can have like backdoor like control
Yep.
channels and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Yep. So there's a few ways to do it. There's a few new ways coming that we've seen coming out. I won't dive too deep into them. I'm not really here to help anybody else learn how to scam people, but the most common is what's called access controls, right? And that was designed by a lot of these big companies. Like USDC uses access controls. And what that means is that different functions are able to be controlled by different addresses. So there's good reasons for these things to exist. There's good reasons for them to be built in. A lot of DAO projects have them built in. We look to whether the contract can self-destruct. That we won't have to check for in probably the next 8 to 9 months, because that command is actually being deprecated out of Ethereum as a whole. Right? We look to see if there's anything that's going to prevent you from being able to buy or sell. We look to see is there a trading cooldown, right? We all know why trading cooldowns exist. They exist so that, one, some people add them in for MEV, so that MEV bots can't function. Others just put it in there to kind of stop people from selling or transferring within X amount of time afterwards. I'm not a big fan of them, but, to each their own. Let's see if your taxes are modifiable. We look to see, can they just pause the contract, right? Because honeypot can come in a lot of different ways, and hell, if they want to pause the contract, and that can happen, right? Then now you've built a honeypot. We look for anything blacklists, any whitelist capabilities. We also look to see if it's traded on most of the dexes. And then beyond that, beyond the scanner, we also, if you look at the liquidity pool side, will show you every liquidity pool that exists for this thing anywhere. Now, for those of you that are just playing around in this meme space and are down here in this space, you don't a lot of times see a ton of liquidity pools for these things. But when you look at something like, say, a bigger token like a Bone or Shiba Leash, there may be 100 liquidity pools out there. And if you go look at DEX tools, you're looking at usually just the ETH liquidity pool. So for like our DEX trade side, we actually show you every trade that happens on every liquidity pool all in one place. So that's like looking at every exchange everywhere all at once. We look to see if there's any anti-whale mechanisms, right? Are they going to limit the amount of tokens you can hold? Are they going to limit the amount of tokens you can sell? Right? We look to see if this thing's an airdrop scam. We look to see if there's anything blatant about the name of this thing, right? Like, in particular, is it a website in the name, right? Anybody that's been in here and you've gone looked at your portfolio, you've got like uniswapairdrop.com or something silly in the name, and 99.99 to infinity% times, those are blatant scams that are trying to get you to go to a website. Fuck you. So we also check to see how much the owner deployer owns. Right, and that's not always a bad thing, but when your owner deployer owns like 5% and then owns 4%, and then all of a sudden they're selling off and this thing's only 27 minutes old, like, probably also not the place you want to be, right? Like, you guys held back your 5% for marketing and other purposes, right? So there's good reasons for that stuff to exist. But if they're blowing it all in the first 30 minutes, what's the legitimacy of the long haul of this thing?
Or if you're seeing like a bunch of airdrops to all these wallets that already have a bunch of airdrop tokens from other projects, and that you see that those particular wallets dump those tokens, especially within a certain window. Like, I've definitely seen that with some projects where they'll get a bunch of calls in, right, and all these different call groups and I mean, and that's really just. It's really just artificial pumping, because those calls, they're just there to make a quick buck. They're not there to actually be there for any sustainability.
No, they're
right?
not. And it's sad.
No.
And so we look for all this, and then we try to bring it all together, and we provide it to you with a little, how serious is this problem, right? Like, is this thing a proxy contract? Those don't know what a proxy contract is. We all talk about the blockchain being immutable. You can't change anything. Well, back in, let's see, it was 2017 or 18. 17? 18, I think it was. Created proxy contracts. Basically lets your token contract operate from another contract address. And again, great reasons for this to exist. Anybody that's ever been a part of a project that's had to fork because they didn't like the contract or whatever else, it's a pain in the butt, causes a bunch of issues, and nobody wants to deal with that. So there's proxy contracts that exist. Again, USDC is one of these that utilizes, they utilize their own like kind of proprietary proxy, but they use a proxy contract as well. So there are good reasons these things to exist. But if you're playing on, say, the BSC chain, proxy contracts are used all the time for scams. Like BSC might as well be proxy contract scam central.
Yeah, you're right.
And so, I mean, and we support 6 chains right now. We let you move back and forth across all these chains. We aggregate bridges and we aggregate all these decentralized exchanges.
So which chains is DEXANI on?
So we support Ethereum, we support Binance, Polygon, Arbitrum, Avalanche, and Phantom right now.
You alluded earlier to 67% of the people buy a scam. I watched these. We have a thing that goes for live tokens as they're released on our app. I run them just as curiosity. 99% of the stuff getting launched on any given day is a scam. Like it's not even tricky scams. They're like
99%.
It's gotta be.
It's insane.
Do you have so when you're running those reports and everything, do you have something that's live right now on the site that people can like keep track of every single day?
Yeah,
like they can just go through and see everything that's happening when it's launching?
Yep.
You can
live
go
as well.
on there.
Yeah, you literally, and you can click the link to do the review right off of the, like there's a little arrow that'll basically give you a scan of the token. Now I would be careful. Like there's some Arbitrum ones that we saw that look legit and they have like a proxy contract, which literally, so they just will backdoor it. Nobody actually that bought the token will empty the whole liquidity in like a background transaction all of a sudden. So you gotta, these things are all meant to help people, but there's still, like Aaron said, a lot of opportunity for scammy people to do things that, and nothing's going to prevent someone from, if something's not, if the contract's not renounced, someone could reduce the liquidity if they didn't lock it. But those are all things you're going to have to do due diligence. But
we've seen Arbitrum had some really wild scams happening running up to the Arbitrum airdrop. Congratulations to anybody that was able to get in on that. But there was a wild one. They would find a token that was pumping on Arbitrum. They would make the name of the scam token the address of the token that was pumping, and then the symbol would be the same symbol. And now you're like, okay, but who buys that? Here's the thing. When you go to like Uniswap or whatever, what do you do when you want to get a new token in? You search and you drop the contract address in.
Exactly. Yes.
And so this thing pops up and oversight just happens because you're moving fast, because we all know how fast this space moves. You see address and symbol. Those are both right. Even though the address is the name, you aren't paying attention that the address of the token is different. Boom, they got you instantly, right? And it was a pretty wild. We were seeing these things launch between 5 and 15 a day. A day.
Oh, that is just sad. That was just sad.
But our explore page shows you every single token that goes on chain, even if it doesn't have liquidity. And I will say, depending on what's launching, there was back in February, there was a moment when everyone's favorite jizz rocket was like pumping.
Yeah.
And what happens when any of these things pumps, right? You get like people that make all these ones that want to play off it. That page was like pornographic, right? Because like everybody's trying to play on this thing to make their quick buck.
I literally know what's going on in this space based off of the names that are getting launched. off that thing. Like someone got arrested on Friday, and every token that was launched had something to do with that person getting arrested. It's hilarious.
You can like look and you're like, oh, I guess there was an Elon tweet happening. Got it. It's pretty fun to watch though.
Yeah, it seems like every single one of us here needs to be, have a dedicated page to DEXANI, like maybe even a monitor, like one of our third or fourth monitor is directly on DEXANI like every day, watching everything that's happening. I mean, I know for myself, that's what's going to happen. just from learning more about what you guys have done and what you've created. Cool. I mean, it's amazing.
I love the liquidity pool page. It's actually one of my favorites. Like, I'm a complete DeFi nerd. Right? I nerd out over this stuff hard because you can look at every single add and remove that happens. And they update in real time, like about as fast as trades update. So you can literally watch as just adds and removes happen, right? Which, like, if somebody's doing something questionable, it's pretty obvious what's going on there.
We've had projects ask us to do reviews, and I won't do them because I look at the liquidity and I see something that I don't like, and I'm not getting involved. So like it's funny. Even that, not even just that, the deployer wallet, you can see everything that is done off of a deployer wallet. You can see pretty much the holders, the top holders. You can dig into who they are. You can click even further than that. You can get as much information as you want in one spot. I mean, those reviews literally take
and maybe sometimes you don't want to know like how how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Yeah, it can get a little depressing after a little bit when you like Spino was saying, like you start looking at these things and you're like, I did not realize like how much crap is just put on chain every day. Like, it is mind blowing when you just all of a sudden have this information in front of you and you're like, oh boy, how is this going to end?
I mean, the reality is any of us that have been in the space long enough, we know, everyone knows how to create something that could look legit and then, scam people, right? Like it's not necessarily a hard thing to do. And it's, and yeah, it really comes down to education. We need to make sure that people are being educated. One of the biggest reasons why, DINO has such a strong community is because we're always educating the community and the fam. And, we're not, we're not over promising things, right? And then this kind of brings up another thing that I think anyone that's listening, definitely, be bullish on what we create here because the mad scientist and Spino Dino Mike, right? They wouldn't be talking to us if we had all kinds of red flags within the DEXANI scanning. Now, so that brings up the big question: what's the score of DINO with DEXANI?
Oh, you guys nailed it, man! You guys don't even have a critical.
You're one of the few projects that I've run and done. I've done a bunch of them now. But you were one of the first ones that was a perfect score as far as
what? Yeah. Perfect score?
Perfect score, man.
Amazing.
But not just that, but even looking at like your liquidity stuff and all the other stuff, you guys have everything in line, and your community, you just said your community is awesome. Like they're hyped, they're pumped up. I put a tweet out and they're on it within seconds. I think even your bots are all over my tweets. So like in your Telegram, I went to go post something this morning and it was already in there before I posted it. I was like, damn. So your community is awesome and like super supportive, and your mods and everyone that's involved has been great. So I think you guys should be excited because you got good people, which is half the battle and it's hard.
It is.
Well, we appreciate that, and really, it is the amazing team, and then also the like the crypto. I mean the DINO army and everything that they're doing. I mean, hats off to, everybody that's just contributing and participating this, as much as they can, because the reason that Dino was launched when FTX collapsed is so that we could have that strong foundation going into the next bull run. And that strong foundation is made really in the bear, right? When everything is just kind of down, and, this is where we can create those long-lasting relationships. We can have the people that are here and committed. And you can only imagine where Dino is going to go in this next bull run because of what has already been put into place. And so, and also, we're all veterans. The whole team, we're all veterans of this space. Many people know me. I'm the co-founder of PolyDoge, one of the biggest coins on Polygon, right? That's 226,000 holders. So for me, to come over to another meme coin or community coin and give my my talent and abilities to this, it does take a lot. Like, it's like I had to know that the team was ready to do something that was magical and amazing, and that was going to be trustworthy. And so it's awesome, that I get to be a part of this.
Polydodge did very well as well. By the way, I did the review for them as well. Another great project, but I'll stick to this one.
Hey, thank you. Awesome. Well, maybe we'll have an AMA over there sometime soon.
Oh, yeah.
But Dr. Dino, Dr. Dino is here. You have any questions that you wanted to ask the DEXANI team before we get the community asking questions? Because I know we could just keep going, about the amazing things that you guys have created so far, and kind of what's headed, what else you have coming. But yeah, we definitely want to get into community questions and everything, because our Dino fam likes to ask questions for sure.
Well, I think, did you guys get into the kind of like the alpha that you were going to share with the community?
I don't think we did. So, we kind of went back and forth a little bit about this. We're going to have a token, right? And that's coming. Now, the way that's going to work is we've created, and we'll have a full dashboard and a whole bunch more coming up on this. It's called the Road to 1 billion, right? And that's our goal of reaching that $1 billion in swap volume, right? Like, that's what we want, right? And so, in order to get our spread of our tokens out, in order to help people some more, you get on there and you make an account. Now, one thing that we did, and this has gotten mixed up, is we actually have a Web 2 login. And that Web 2 login, right, which is like an email, right? And you can use any email you want, right? You can use Google, you can use Discord, whatever. Allows you to track all your wallets. It also allows you access to Danny. Danny's our AI assistant. She'll come in there. She'll help educate you and whatnot. She gets a little snarky at times, so bear with her.
And
Right? You have
if
to ask a lot of
Aaron
stuff.
said something that you don't know what the hell he was talking about, if you plug it in there, she'll tell you exactly what that is. Like, what's a renounced contract or all those things. She's pretty good.
Yeah, she'll help fill you all in, right, and educate you, right? And so you make that. But as you swap, you're going to start earning points, right? And those points will eventually be converted over into tokens, right? When we reach our 1 billion. And that is our airdrop, lets people get that. And then those tokens that you have are going to increase, giving you access to different things as we continue to go, right? Because what you see right now is our bare bones minimum, right? Like, this is what's going to be there to start, right? But as we continue down this AI path, right, where we can start analyzing charts using our AI, as we start doing things like building out and getting our pro model out there, which our pro model lets you do like limit buy, limit sell, stop buy, stop sell. Eventually we'll have VWAP and TWAP. For those that don't know what that is, it's a volume weighted average and time weighted average trading. It's a trading term on the pro model, right? The number of tokens you have will allow you access to that kind of thing, right? But the way that you gain points actually isn't going to be just by swapping on volume, right? It's for exploring the site as a whole. And so we'll put this whole thing live. Right now it's tracking what's happening, right? What you're doing.
Aaron, are you good with me showing an example in there, TG?
Yeah, you can show one.
I'll screenshot some leaderboard stuff.
Okay.
If you're cool with that.
So just to be clear here, so Dino fam can go on there and make an account, and they can swap Dino. They can buy Dino on DEXANI, and they can start earning points.
Bingo.
To get your token.
Yeah. Literally, you just do what you do normally. You just use this, and then as you explore it, you also earn points.
And then not only that, we rank the projects who have the most swaps and most volume. And Aaron and I were discussing adding, each month adding the top project to our automatic list, our drop down. So we have ETH, we have BNB, you have all these preloaded, and we could load Dino in there, and that would be one of the selected ones. You don't have to search for it.
Freaking phenomenal. Love it.
And for us, it helps us, at a big piece, right, is getting the distribution of tokens out there, right? Getting these points out there. And then as we continue on, we work with different projects and we collaborate with different ones, right? We can start offering even more incentives with this, right? Like one of the things that we've talked about in the future is the ability for, say, new and upcoming projects that they want to incentivize a little bit, the ability to, maybe there's a 5%, 10% boost, right? Sponsored by the project just for swapping, right? And then that helps you earn points to access some of these greater features without necessarily having to buy the token, right? Yeah, we want people to buy the token, yes, right? But I don't want somebody to not have access to these tools just because they can't afford, the $1,000 for all the tokens. Right? Anybody that's played around in this space knows that $1,000 in volume or $10,000 in volume is actually really easy for you to do. Like you buy 500 and you sell 750 because you got a 50% gain. Well, you already just generated $1,200 in volume. Well, 1,250, but so it's not necessarily hard, right? So we want people to be able to have access to these tools, right, without having to force you to buy it, because I've seen these other projects that are like, oh, you have to have this many tokens, and the new person's trying to figure out, is this worth it? Can I get it? Can I get access to it? Is it worth me going and spending $2,500 to get access to? I don't know, and that's just not Aaron, really fair to the average person.
We forgot to mention we aren't our own specific swap. We aggregate over top of all the swaps. So we pick the best price. So if you like Uniswap, if you like Sushi Swap, if you like Pancake Swap, we hover over those and we find the best price among those, and where you can pick which one you like. If it's something you've already approved the sell on, you can pick that one. So there's 5 or 6 different ones depending on what you're swapping. Obviously, some of the chains that are a little bit more less used, they're probably gonna have less options, but that's there. So we're not selling a swap. We're actually just running over top of and finding you the best price in that market.
We're an interface. We sit right on top of all these things.
Hey, I just want to say thanks for making that clear, because that's a game changer, for us, because we just recently we delivered the leaderboard, which shows our buys and sells and top people who buy Dino and stuff like that. So, and it's through the Uniswap pool. So if people can go on to DEXANI and they can swap Dino still through Uniswap, then that means that they could still come up on our leaderboard as well.
You know what? I just checked it too. What's really crazy is I actually found a route where you could swap BNB to Dino.
I was just about to ask that. I was about to ask, can you take, so like, let's say, from Binance Smart Chain or Arbitrum or Polygon, and you can swap from those and bridge over and then get the token,
let me
see
token?
If
there's one from Polygon.
Okay.
Because like I said, we aggregate, right? We sit on top of all of these that handle this.
While he's looking
And
at that, you can also say you do have B&B or you want to get into Arbitrum, but you don't know how to buy it. You can buy all those things through our swap. You can buy Phantom. You can buy from
move
ETH
product.
to whatever, or USD. Like literally, you can buy all those. Just when we first launched a while ago on this project, we were talking about Polygon and Matic, and I didn't know how to get into Matic, and you had to swap over, and then you had to. You don't have to do that anymore. You can just literally just use ETH or USD, where you can use the fiat onboarding and put money in your wallet, and then you
It
swap over.
used to be such a pain. Like, okay, where did I buy this token? Was it on Pancake Swap? Was it on Ape Swap? Was it on Sushi Swap? Right, and you're bouncing all over trying to buy or sell this thing, and it's like that is not a good experience. But yeah, like you can go right on there. You can swap it. You'll gain some points. We'll have our leaderboard up in the next day or two, along with how to along with like every time you earn points, you'll get a little pop up. I've earned this many points, right? And one of the cool things is we've got a little referral thing in there, right? So to make an account, you need a referral code. I'm sure Spino is going to jump in there and try and get his on there. And if your people that are swapping that you referred in, you're going to get a chunk of any points that they earn too, right? Not their points, but a pro rata percentage. Right, kind of incentivizing that whole like, let's get this thing out there, let's get people to use it, let's get people to teach other people how to use it. Look, I can come and Reptar, you've been around this space and you know the reality. Like I can come on here as the founder CEO and shill the shit out of this thing, right? But of course I'm expected to, right? It's my project, right? So when other people are spreading the word and teaching people about this thing, it goes a lot farther. And that's what our goal is, right? We want to teach people, look, there's all of this information out there that can be used to keep you safe, right? Like there's so much out there. And for communities to teach their own communities and for our community to teach them and for Danny, the AI, to be able to teach them and help them, right? That's how we grow the adoption. That's how we take these dexes and trading and not sitting there being held captive by FTX, Coinbase, Binance, whoever it is, right? Like this is how we grow this adoption, right? It's not just going to happen, right? This is every single one of our responsibilities to get on there and teach people about what being decentralized and what being a part of Web3 and being in crypto really means. If you are only using a centralized exchange, you're not actually part of, this whole thing that we're building and doing. And I don't know, like, sorry, I get like a little overly passionate about that sometimes.
Hey, bro, no, you are in the right place, man.
Like,
Like we are all about this, man. We're all about, really owning your financial destiny, right? Because if we look at the traditional finance world that's been running for 400 plus years, I mean, if you really get into the weeds of it, it's like modern day
dude,
slavery.
okay, all right. So mildly off topic, but man, this one drives me nuts, right? Banks. You know what a bank is? It is an under collateralized stable coin. That's what it is. Fractional
It
reserve
is.
trading. It's an under
It
collateralized
is.
stablecoin. There is no place in Web3 and crypto that we would ever accept that you only have 10% of the deposits. Not in a million fucking years. Right? But for some reason we accept it over there. Get the fuck out. Like that's not cool.
Amen. Amen.
You know, I go on some of these really, really big spaces sometimes, and when SVB, for those who don't know, that's Silicon Valley Bank, when it collapsed, it's like startup bank number one in the United States. Actually, 50% of venture capital actually had exposure to SVB, which is terrible. When it collapsed, though, I was on one of these spaces, and one of the guys is like, "Hey, man, how are you doing with this? I know you guys are raising, and you're a startup and whatnot." And I was like, "We're fine." we're 99.9% on chain. Like if my bank collapsed, I'd just go find another bank. And one of those times, like, what do you mean? And I was like explaining this. I was like, yeah, I mean, like I actually have our funds. Like we have it. We own it. We control
Yeah,
it.
we are our own
Yeah.
bank. We are our
And
own
we
bank.
use multi-sigs and all that, which we'll start integrating. We actually just had a great conversation with Circle to do some stuff with them. That's some alpha that's really not out there. Shit. Anyways, they're doing some really cool stuff.
Oh man, we pulled the alpha out of them, guys.
They have some really, really
He's known
cool
for doing
stuff.
this if he talks long enough.
Yeah, they have some
You
really,
know,
really cool stuff
I
coming.
that's awesome.
But yeah, we're working on getting into their beta for some of their stuff that's really going to help drive adoption at the next level. But
Whoa! That's some massive alpha right there.
yeah, they're
Yeah, it's huge alpha,
Hold up,
huge
hold up,
alpha.
doing
hold up,
something
hold
amazing.
up, hold up. Let me
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
stop. Let me just stop right here for a second because I want to. That's crazy that you just said that because you gotta have a token, right?
Yep.
And so, and like I just said about our leaderboard, so our leaderboard, we will track the buys and everything with our community, and we'll have competitions for that. So I hope everyone understands, like you could swap with DEXANI and do it through the Uniswap pool. So you can earn points for your token with that huge alpha that you just dropped with Circle. So people are probably going to want to earn some of that token, right? And you can still be counted in our leaderboard competitions for the community, and potentially win whatever prizes we have up. So it's like double utility, just buying tokens, basically.
And if you act now and sign up and do what I asked on the Twitter, I'm raffling off later one of your NFTs I bought the floor this morning. And
Hey,
you guys also sent me some.
Let's
You guys also
go.
sent me 1,000 Dino in some Twitter contest probably a couple weeks ago. I'm also going to raffle that off, which I
And
appreciate. But
look, the other piece is if there's anything you want to see added to the site, like if there's anything you would like to add, like we had a little feedback thing in there. We move pretty quick. So if there's something that we're missing that you're like, oh, I look at this, and I want to know what this is, let us know. Like you toss that in the feedback, and we will work to get it in there pretty quick.
a ton of the features on the site are from our community. Like there's that miner guy I was talking about earlier, because we had a community person buy a token 6 times and didn't realize it because the way Uniswap works or whatever the transactions went through. So he had 6 times what he anticipated because he didn't know that the transaction was going through. So now we have like a little miner guy that pops up so you know that the transaction is going through.
Yeah. He'd used low gas, and anybody in here that was in this space early and had used low gas, you know what that means. The transaction's gonna sit there processing forever, and you're sitting there going, why isn't it going through? And every time you're just adding
12 hours later.
Yeah. Every time you're just adding another pending transaction. So we added this little coin mining, and it tells you your transactions mining and tells you your before and after stuff on there. So yeah, a ton of them.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I just have another quick question before we jump into the community. Jumping in with some questions. So, have you done a raise for DEXANI?
We are in the middle of our raise right now. We're
Okay.
doing our seed raise right now. So yeah, that's been kind of our life for the past month. We were basically VC speed dating when we were out at ETH Denver, and then it was. I mean, anybody that's ever done that knows what that's like, and all the follow-ups, and of course, right? This space is nice.
It's a full-time job. It's a full-time job.
And of course, the week after ETH Denver, what happens? SVB collapses, and so it was like, all right, all the VCs were like, wait, we're gonna pause, we're gonna slow down. it is an equity raise, not a token raise. So we aren't looking to get a bunch of VCs in there. They're going to jump on our.
And where are you incorporated?
We're Wyoming.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Okay. Yep, that's perfect.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Wyoming's laws. Anybody that knows Tyler Lindholm out of there, he's the crypto cowboy. He's the lead assistant for their senator. Dude's great. He's like 6'6", wears a cowboy hat. Met him several times. He just seems to show up everywhere I tend to head off to. But
by the way, we spent countless hours with crypto lawyers, so everything we do is compliant to a point where my head was spinning listening to Aaron and the lead crypto lawyer go at it about 1,000 different technicalities. So we've done our due diligence over and over again.
Fantastic. So you guys are completely future proof.
Well, I mean, we don't know what the
to an extent, right? To an extent,
going to say. Reading that last stuff that came out of the SEC was really interesting with some of their findings. You guys can't see me making air quotes right now, but
I'm making air quotes with you.
I may actually be in DC after consensus to go have some conversations with some of them. I just don't want our legislature to look at dumb. I don't want another Mark Zuckerberg soundbite of "we sell ads." Like, come on. Like, at least if you're going to make the laws, let's just make sure they're technically possible. Like, from a technical standpoint, you can't KYC on Uniswap. It's just literally not technically possible. So we got to figure something else out, or you guys got to understand what's going on. So, but anyways, we can jump into questions before I just start running off on rants and tangents.
No, we love it, man. We can totally tell that you're very passionate about DEXANI. And we're passionate about it as well. I mean, because we're definitely with you in the trenches, and we want this. We want your success to happen, because these types of tools, these types of platforms are really what's going to push the industry forward.
It's the direction we need to head. As an industry, like we've got to get more usage on these decentralized exchanges, and that just is going to require a lot of education. It requires providing the random guy at the bar that you met an easier way to do something, and then letting them understand what they're getting into. Like, stuff's complicated. There's no other way around it.
It definitely is. Yeah. Okay. So I have one more question, just because it's tax season, and that's something that's been on my mind. And I actually just finished up my taxes and everything recently. So tracking like your profit and loss, like all those different stats, all the different things that you need to be able to give the tax man, you have all that being tracked?
We will actually have, hopefully come next tax season, the ability for you to just straight up export it.
New alpha.
Yeah, just have a report, just kind of like Coinbase does. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's kind of our goal, right? Like, and okay, now this is a lofty goal, right? And y'all can fry me later for it, but like, I want to be the Coinbase of the decentralized world, right? I want to offer what they offer, but without having to deal with the custody issues, right? Without having me having to deal with the whole regulatory, like, custodializing someone else's assets, right? Like, I don't want to deal with that, and really nobody probably does. I actually have a feeling that Coinbase might actually be going down this route themselves, but mild conspiracy theory on my part. But yeah, like, that's our goal, right? Like,
we're here for it, man. We're here for it.
That is our goal. I'm gonna get there. But yeah,
I mean, I think it was Richard Branson, right, of Virgin Mobile and the Virgin, conglomerate, right, that said, you might as well dream as big as you possibly can, right? Because then you if you dream as big as you possibly can, you set yourself up to go that direction. And even if you don't hit that, you're still going to go far beyond what, maybe even thought what your capabilities could even be.
That's it, man. Like, that's the goal. Is you've gotta dream big, and you've got to take every step along the way to get there. And the roadmap is there for us to get there. We have a provider that'll actually give us crypto cards now. We haven't set it in there, but like, you can essentially spend out of your wallet.
Oh man, we're just getting all the alpha fam. We're pulling it out of the mad scientists. We're pulling it out.
It's all about partnerships, right? And relationships in the space.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many different cool projects out there that don't want kind of the same thing, right? Once you get through all the mess of all the scammers, like, there are really good people in the space, and we're finding a lot of good partnerships. We don't need, to look to win one over on somebody.
It's not necessary, right? Like, everyone's trying to fight each other, right? We look at projects that like get into battles with each other and they start fighting each other, and it's like that's not gonna move our industry forward.
Yeah, and it's such a waste of time too.
Like, it really is. There's just it's really disheartening at times, because it's like the potential for this technology, and I don't just talk about DEXANI, I'm talking about all of this, to like literally change the landscape of the lives of humans is so much greater than people understand. Worldwide, it's like 22 point something percent of people can't get a bank account. In America, it's like 6.8 can't get a bank account. And we all know what demographic those humans are, right? And they end up spending upwards of 20% of their income to spend their income.
Yeah. Yep. And even if you send money to them, right, overseas, you have to pay all these exorbitant fees, right, just to send them money. And you got 3 billion people that live on less than $1 a day, right? So like, let's say if I want to send life-changing money to a village, I still am going to have to pay some crazy fees sometimes, depending on what government, I have to go through. Right?
What is Swift sending you through? What are the cross-border fees? And like, and then it's going to take 3 days, right? At a minimum. And like, we have the ability in this industry, as even people that just bought, our favorite silly meme coins, right, have the ability to be the evangelists that can come on here and like share that with people, that like, look, like, I know that some people are worried, they're scared, they're like, I don't understand, it fluctuates too much, blah blah blah, right? To really take the time to explain to them, like, look, like, this is world changing technology that exists.
Mm-hmm.
And we have that ability. We just need people to use it. And if you use it, they will come. And that's why, meaning the people that are going to build our rails, the people that are going to make it so that this stuff can happen. And we have how many different currencies that exist out there, right? Like, DINO could be the next currency of anywhere that and people could be buying with it, right? Like, this stuff can actually happen. And I know that it sounds crazy to say that, right? When you like start thinking about like how you paid for your gas with your Visa card, but like, Nigeria is at like a 32.5% adoption rate, and crypto's illegal there.
Yeah, right.
So I mean, look, we got to keep the space safe. We got to teach people, and that's kind of what we want to do, and then provide them with a single place where they're not bouncing around to 47 different places and having to learn stuff the way that so many of us learned it, which was the hard way. right? We've all learned this stuff the hard way. We know people that have been rugged and scammed and honeypotted, and like that's just terrible for the industry. It's terrible for the financial system as a whole. So I mean,
It is because a lot of the time, you know, these scammers, right, that are taking all the liquidity, sucking this liquidity out of this potentially, you know, so technology that's so transformative for literally a whole new phase of humanity, right? A whole new phase of humanity where just about everybody has the resources that they